Hello, and welcome to something completely different. I'm your host, the Social Solipsist, and this is DOSBox. Well, I was going to say you don't know what this is, but you do. You've clicked on the video, so I guess you already know what we're doing. But we're starting at the DOSBox prompt because this is being played in DOSBox. So, well, that really ruins my whole intro. Now that I'm scrambling for a resolution. Anyway, we're playing Gizmos and Gadgets. You already knew that. You click the video. So I decided to start from the front of DOSBox because it's been a long time since I've dealt with DOSBox or DOS in general. Yeah. Boy, DOS was a weird time. Some of you watching this may not remember what DOS was like. But it wasn't great. So, to get into the game, we're going to mount C, and then we're going to define the actual system path where that is, which is going to be here. So that sets the actual location for the virtual drive C. Whoops. Then we're going to mount C or path to C. And then we are going to run the program we like with some flags. Let me make sure I get this right. I believe that's right. Welcome to Gizmos and Gadgets. Some of you may have had this in your childhood, and some of you may not have. But Gizmos and Gadgets is a game from my childhood that I realized some time ago I never finished for a variety of reasons that we will get into over the course of this series. This is a game for children, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some value to both reminiscing about and otherwise just generally discussing all of the things that surround it, like childhood. It's just gonna scan without me. All right, well, hopefully you guys are reading that since it's just gonna go on. DOSBox is a fascinating beast that I have generally avoided because it's a little bit irritating and hard to configure. It's gotten better in recent years. It used to be much more of a pain, but DOS was a 16-bit-ish system, and modern operating systems don't support 16-bit executables, so you have to use DOSBox for a lot of these old things, which is a fantastic project that I believe is entirely open source and has been run by volunteers for years. I could be wrong about that, but an irreplaceable resource. If you wanted to play this yourself, you can actually, DOSBox can be embedded in a browser window, and there are a couple of websites that have a lot of these old games available to play online in your browser. So, hey, there it is. But I was going through my old files. I had I had an ISO ripped from the CD version of this game. But this game is actually so small it could fit on a floppy disk. It's 1.4 megabytes in size total. And it's probably actually smaller than that, but because of the way file systems and file formats worked at the time and working with floppy disks, they often tended to fill the whole thing anyway, even if they didn't technically have to. So, as has been scrolling by now, against my will, we have to race against Morty. And I've never beaten this whole game. So we're gonna try and do that. Race against Morty and win all 15 of the challenge races. You will reclaim the technology center and be the head scientist. All right. There he is, the bastard. At some point, I do want to actually load this game again, but make you guys listen to the other sound options. Something that either for age or other reasons many of you are probably not aware of is the madness that was computer components in the 80s and 90s, and trying to get compatibility working and all those sorts of things. This is clearly a later DOS game. This is really pushing DOS to its limits on some level. But it's also a later DOS game, DOS version 3.3, I think. So it had more rendering capability. But there's also the issue of sound, which was a whole thing back in the day. It wasn't just every computer has a sound card. Most of them, well, that's the thing. No computers had sound cards. I was just gonna loop, huh? No computers had sound cards. They had an onboard tweeter and to make a beep at you, and that was about it. Sometime later, they would have some really rudimentary sound capability, but mostly if you wanted any sort of... well, that's not what I meant to do. Oh well. If you wanted any sort of sound, you had to buy a very expensive sound card, more likely than not, a sound blaster, which is what is being emulated here. And this is all being processed as MIDI, emulating what... I believe that's correct. Don't quote me on that. I believe this is all MIDI, and... there we go. All right, I was wondering what was happening to my cursor. So you can use your cursor here. I believe this is all MIDI, and it's just being processed by the quote-unquote onboard MIDI processor on the Sound Blaster sound cards. So, oh, this is a little bit overly sensitive, but that's okay. We're ready to sign in, and we're going to play without chimps. This may be controversial among some of the diehards, but I did test a little bit before this, and I told myself, well, I was just a kid. I mean, no wonder I didn't like the chimps. I was just a kid, and I had no motor skills and couldn't do it. No. The chimps are fucking evil. They are not fair. If you were a child and beat this game in total with chimps, you're either a masochist or I suppose you could just be a savant, but I don't know. If you happen to be watching this, put it in the comments, because the chimps are just mean. Now, is it arguable that without chimps, it's not as hard a game, or there's barely any threat at all? Well, yeah, but yeah, maybe at some point I'll go back and show you what the chimps are like, but trust me, after, like, there's not a lot of precision going on here. And they are not fair. All right. Are we just going to spend this whole episode with me talking? I guess so. The chimps wander around. They give no warning that they're coming. They'll just shoot through a door and knock you down. Every time they knock you down, they take one of your parts. They don't take just one. If they hit you again, they'll take another one, and the part you had will be scattered somewhere in the building. It's really irritating. And combined with the fact that the platforming is not very precise, and that the only way to avoid them, they move much faster than you. Even the basic ones move faster than you, and then later there are ones on wheels that move way faster, that are incredible, just fucking bullies. And the only way to, other than avoiding them completely, which is almost impossible, you can hit them with bananas, except for the wind-up on throwing a banana is incredibly long, and basically, it's not fun, is what I'm getting at. Anyway, That's enough of that. Let's do the first race. We're going to do the first car. New player hint. Look at the blueprints to see which parts you need to build your vehicle. Click on the parts to get more information about them. Then go to the warehouse to find the parts. All right. So we need wheels, brakes, and a fuselage, decal, paint. I think we'd need bearings too. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wheels, brakes, body. Doesn't say anything about bearings, but I'm pretty sure we're going to need bearings. I guess we'll find out. Press up to go to the warehouse and look for parts. When you have the parts you need, return here to build your vehicle. All right. Except for the up arrow doesn't work. So you have to click on it for reasons I don't understand. So this is the gimmick. This is made by the Learning Company. It is for children. This is before the vast swath of so-called children's games that have come out in the 2000s and beyond. This is when children's games were actually meant to be educational and not just like flashing lights and shit. So it was meant to teach kids about science. And, you know, in a lot of ways, it does an admirable job, but it also has some problems. And we'll get into those when we see them. Because we're going to be doing a lot of these puzzles, and they get progressively harder. Alright, so this is the gimmick. Collect parts, they go into your inventory, you can only hold 2 of any kind at a time, and you need a certain set of them to win. There are good parts and bad parts, and ones that will get that are basically good enough to help you beat Morty, and ones that aren't good enough. So you gotta sort that out yourself. Let's see, we're at what, 6? So here's here's our very first bug. This was always a problem. You cannot, for some reason, you cannot, depending on where you click, maybe, you cannot always, yeah, there it is. If you click too far back, you hit the edge of the screen before you can hit the full distance, and then it's just weird. So you're going, why can I only hit 5? I can't reach it. I can't reach it. There are a few buggy things like that. But yeah. I'm going to remember these slowly. So the game tries to hit on a variety of different science topics for kids. And they're not all entirely accurate, but it's better than nothing. I'm trying to remember the first time. I probably played this for the first time when I was maybe 8. I'm gonna say about 8 years old is probably about the right time. And some of these puzzles are bizarrely advanced and others bizarrely simplistic. So here, what have we got? We've got decals which don't count towards anything. We've got yellow paint, doesn't count towards anything. Brakes that don't count. And a wooden body with a short slope, which is like not the worst one, but it's not great either. It's pretty boxy and not going to get us a lot of... Ah, okay. You've collected all the parts you need for your vehicle. Then go to the workshop and build your vehicle for the race. Go to the bottom of the... Yeah. Okay. Oh, the bushings are built into the wheels. Okay, metal bushings, I believe, they might be the worst. It's not like you get a bunch of definitions here, which is kind of funny thing about... That was a weird... I don't remember that pitch change in the music. Huh. I remember it does change pitch, but for some reason that pitch sounds weird. I also don't know... Oh, yeah. The super solver, that's your character, will get pissed off if you wait around too long. So the game doesn't teach you a lot about the mechanics of the machine you're actually building. It teaches you about the stuff that's in the puzzles, and leaves a lot of this a mystery. So if you've got an understanding of like aerodynamics or machining techniques, then you know your 8-year-old self will make it through. But you otherwise may struggle a little bit, or it may be a lot of trial and error. What the actual intentions were with some of these things, I don't know. Here's another fun bug. Sometimes this just doesn't work properly. All right. So what we're gonna look for is at least, all right, so self-lubricating bushings is obviously better. All right, so here's the other caveat. Without knowing what the best things on the field are, you have to throw some of them away and hope that you'll get new ones. Except for these are the decals, so they mean nothing. Racing Butterfly or Roadrunner. I'm gonna get rid of the Racing Butterfly. The Racing Butterfly doesn't want to go away, so we're gonna get rid of the Roadrunner instead. Recycled parts are placed back in the warehouse in red boxes. What did we get? Dragon decal. All right. Well, the Racing Butterfly didn't want to leave, so I think we have to use it now. We're gonna go down here. Actually, here's the other thing. Because the in and outside of this are mirrored, it's always a little bit of a you know, brain teaser to figure out, okay, which door do I have to open to get to that box that I can see on the other side that's hopefully the part that I want. All right. So this is one of the ones that always bothered me because it's not entirely, well, it's not inaccurate, it's just not a thing. Like, there's some of these, none of these are explicitly wrong, but like, quote unquote, light energy, it's not really a thing, especially when the more advanced versions of this will have things like kinetic energy and potential energy. And it's like, well, if you're going to introduce somewhat advanced concepts like that, why are you talking about light energy? If anything, this one is heat energy, which is also an option. And sometimes multiple of them match, and for some reason that doesn't count here, but anyway. It's neither here nor there. We'll come back to that when we see more of those. So, I don't know what's through this door. If there were monkeys, if there were chimps on this level, they could just slam through this door. I get no iframes. They move very fast. I would just lose a part. Also, there may be blind drops. In this case, there were not, but there can be blind drops. All right, we're just gonna leave. You know what? Actually, no. I forgot my techniques. All right, I'm gonna step back for a second. Another bug. Depending on where you pick up the item, your cursor does not recenter on the middle of the item. It centers on the outside. So if I pick it up on the edge, I believe... Well, I just proved myself wrong. So I don't know. Picking items up and putting them in the recycle bin was always a little fiddly. And I'm sure that will prove to be the case later. However, I want to get back up to that room up there with those boxes. So we're going to go up and out and over. Long jumping like this is the fastest way to get anywhere, so you'll see me doing that a lot instead of this walk. There's also a lot of input lag on this that's just built into the game. So yeah, imagine trying to do precision jumps when there's a lag and you're being bullied by things that are faster than you. Like, heat energy isn't really a thing. It's chemical energy or something. It's not... This was always probably the weirdest one because it's not really right. If you want to have kids, like, identify sort of general ideas in energy use, it's sort of okay, but it's a little bizarre. Okay, so what do we have? Short slope and shaped like a box, which is the worst one in the game. So we'll just toss that one. Long slope. All right, that's the best one we have so far. Yellow paint or blue paint? Always go blue, and then we've got green as an option. And then, let's see, metal bushings, self-lubricating bushings, metal bushings. All right, fine. Let's duck down here now, since we don't have anything else on the outside to go into. Ah, here. All right. There are also blind drops where you will drop through multiple floors at the same time. And you don't take damage, but it's still sort of like, well, I wanted to land in between those two levels and you had to, you know, make me fall unnecessarily. That's not fun. Boy, I don't know if I like this game or not. I'm just complaining about it a lot, because that's me. What was this? It was a decal. Well, we are just, you know, gonna use the... Ah, there it is. There's my bug. Trying to drop it, and it doesn't drop. Pinstripe decal. Alright, I don't know if there are better bushings than the self-lubricating on this one. Come on. Multiple self-lubricating, they're not, let's see. Wait a minute. What was that? That was the paint. Keeping the blue. Red. Well, if you're an orc, here's a fun one. Man, I'm just gonna hit like all of the... Maybe I won't talk about all the problems until we actually encounter them, because they all are practical problems I will have trouble with when we actually get to them. So we'll wait until these get more advanced, and then you'll see them for yourselves. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead... Where are all the remaining boxes then? I believe there are some better parts, but I could be wrong. Alright, we might hit one of the bugs here anyway, even though it's reasonably early. This has, obviously, it tries to stick, you know, to the most massive set, but here's the problem. I've done it right, but the game doesn't like it because it expects a level of precision that it is not really coded in. And if I try and offset this a bit, if I try and offset it a reasonable amount, it's just going to keep trying to reconnect. So I have to disassemble this whole thing. And I do mean practically the whole thing. And then place it right on top so that the drop shadow is over the stupid box. It can be off by about 1 pixel and that's it. By the way, I am running this at a higher resolution. Well, this is being rendered at a higher resolution by DOSBox, and then it's also being upscaled in the recording. But the original resolution this ran at was 320 by 240. So under the circumstances, the fact that you can, you know, somebody bothered to put in like wood grain in the back here is kind of astonishing. A lot can be done with not a lot of pixels. So where are... I could be totally wrong. I don't know. If I don't see it pretty quickly here, I'm gonna... So it's like, why is the pulley mechanical energy? I mean, it technically is, but is that the lesson you want to teach from that? I am noticing a little bit of frame, like, I don't know if it's a frame rate issue. I feel like that animation, that fade animation was smoother once upon a time. I mean, I'm running this on an extremely, well, not an extreme, on a very modern system, so DOSBox should not be struggling. Let's hope this is the, yep, there's the fiberglass body. That's the last thing I wanted to find. We're just gonna do this because all the brakes are the same anyway, but I like marking everything as red. Anything that pops up as a red box, because if I don't pick it up, it won't be marked as a red box. It'll still be a yellow box, and then I might, well, it doesn't matter because we're about to win this race anyway, but here we are. Build your vehicle. Move the parts you want from the conveyor belt to the floor. Click on the green arrows to move the conveyor belt. All right. Let's talk about design issues with this little baby. So the order of install does not matter according to the game, but if you have a problem, you have to disassemble substantial parts of it to get at what you need to. So say you have something that has like internal components, you may have to disassemble most of the external stuff and put it back on the conveyor to get at the one part you need. You can't just swap them out. So I can't just do this. I have to remove the thing. So if it was an internal component, it becomes a pain. And since you have to flip through these stupid conveyors the whole time, yeah, it's a whole thing. All right, we've got our little gravity racer. Let's do it. Let's win our first race. Hell yeah. And Morty throws a tantrum because he's a little bitch. Congratulations, you won the race and have reached the rank of assistant. You need a score of 30,000 to move up to the next rank. Keep up the good work. All right. Well, I'm going to call the first episode there. And on the next episode, which will be shorter, the remaining episodes will probably be shorter. We'll probably do one race per episode. There won't be so much talking, so it'll be not almost 30 minutes long. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Well, I was going to say if you want to see more of this, but frankly, I'm going to record the whole thing in one sitting probably. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I'll see you guys next time.